There are moments in a fighter's career that define everything that comes after. For Ian Garry, this is one of them. While many contenders dream of becoming champion, very few are willing to chase the toughest possible path to get there. But when the opportunity to fight Islam Makhachev landed in front of Ian Garry, there was no hesitation. Most of the division saw one of the most dominant champions in MMA. Ian Garry saw an opportunity. To him, facing the man that so many fighters avoid isn't something to fear. It's exactly the kind of challenge he's been waiting for. Because in his mind, defeating the most dangerous fighter in the division isn't just another win. It's the moment that proves he belongs among the very best in the world. As preparations for the fight intensified, everything around Garry changed almost overnight. Opponents shifted, dates moved, and plans were constantly rewritten. For many athletes, that kind of uncertainty can disrupt an entire training camp. For Garry, it only made the journey more exciting. After years of imagining himself on the biggest stage in mixed martial arts, he was finally living the dream he had carried since childhood. Every interview, every camera, every headline. It was another reminder that the kid who once dreamed of becoming a world champion was now preparing for the biggest fight of his life. And he embraced every second of it. Inside the gym, there was no sign of doubt. Every drill, every round of sparring, every minute of training carried the same purpose. To prove that he belongs here. Not because people believe it, but because he believes it himself. His confidence has always been one of the defining parts of his career. Ian Garry doesn't step into the octagon hoping to win. He steps in expecting to win. That belief has carried him through every challenge so far, and now he intends to carry it into the toughest matchup of his career. But confidence alone has never been enough against Islam Makhachev. Across the MMA world, analysts and former fighters continue asking the same question. Can anyone truly solve the puzzle that Islam has become? For years, Makhachev has looked like the answer to every style placed in front of him. Elite wrestlers struggle to outgrapple him. Dangerous strikers find themselves trapped under relentless pressure. Submission specialists rarely get the chance to play their own game. No matter where the fight goes, Islam seems to find a way to make it his fight. That's exactly why so many people consider him the most complete champion in mixed martial arts today. Still, Ian Garry isn't arriving as just another challenger. He's built his reputation by defeating increasingly dangerous opponents, proving that his confidence isn't simply talk. Every victory has strengthened his belief that he belongs at the top of the division. And now, standing between him and championship glory is the one fighter almost nobody has been able to solve. Even Team Makhachev isn't overlooking the challenge. Respect has been evident from their side throughout the build-up. They recognize Garry as a skilled, intelligent, and dangerous opponent. There's no trash talk. No unnecessary drama. Only the understanding that another elite contender is standing across the cage. That mutual respect says a lot. Because when champions begin preparing for someone, respect often means they understand exactly how dangerous that opponent can be. As fight night draws closer, Garry has entered the final phase of his training camp. The work is nearly complete. Now it's about sharpening the smallest details. Improving reactions. Perfecting timing. Preparing for every possible situation that could unfold inside the octagon. The Irish contender has made one thing perfectly clear. This fight is about proving that he's even better than people already believe. It's an opportunity to silence every remaining doubt. And his confidence isn't based on empty words. Throughout his professional career, he has consistently found ways to leave the cage with his hand raised. Winning has become an expectation rather than a goal. That mindset is exactly why some respected voices within the MMA community believe this fight may be far more competitive than the betting odds suggest. Among them is Chael Sonnen. While Sonnen has stopped short of predicting an upset, he has repeatedly argued that writing Ian Garry off would be a serious mistake. He points to Garry's performance against elite competition as proof that many fans underestimate his abilities, particularly his wrestling and defensive grappling. One of the biggest criticisms aimed at Garry has been the belief that he can't survive against world-class wrestlers. Sonnen doesn't agree. He believes Garry has already shown enough to prove he can compete with high-level grapplers, making this matchup far more intriguing than many people realize. In his eyes, the fight isn't nearly as one-sided as it appears. And if Garry can force Islam into unfamiliar situations, the champion could face one of his toughest nights yet. Sonnen even believes the battle shouldn't begin when the cage door closes. It should start long before fight night. He has suggested that Garry lean into the psychological side of competition, build the rivalry, create pressure, and make every face-off meaningful. Not because words win fights, but because mental pressure has always been another battlefield in combat sports. Whether that strategy would actually affect Islam remains uncertain. Champions of his caliber rarely lose focus. Still, every great rivalry is built on tension. And if Garry can add another layer to this matchup before the opening bell, the anticipation surrounding the fight will only continue to grow. Joe Rogan sees the matchup from a different perspective. He believes Garry possesses the size, striking ability, and confidence necessary to make things interesting. But he also understands exactly what awaits him. Because Islam Makhachev isn't simply an elite wrestler anymore. He's evolved into one of the most complete mixed martial artists on the planet. His striking continues to improve. His pressure never seems to stop. And once he gets his hands on an opponent, very few manage to escape. His grappling isn't built on explosive moments alone. It's built on constant control, relentless pressure, and the ability to slowly take away every option until his opponent has nowhere left to go. Even standing next to him outside the cage tells part of the story. Those who've spent time around the champion often talk about how physically imposing he is despite competing at lightweight for so many years. His strength has become almost legendary inside MMA circles. That calm approach is one of the biggest reasons why so many people believe Islam Makhachev is different from every champion before him. The hype surrounding this fight isn't built on trash talk alone. It's built on genuine uncertainty. Because despite everything Islam has accomplished, there are respected voices throughout the MMA world who believe Ian Garry might be one of the most complicated opponents he has ever faced. Former UFC champion Sean O'Malley is one of them. In O'Malley's eyes, Garry possesses a combination of physical tools that immediately make this matchup intriguing. He's taller, longer, extremely mobile, and perhaps most importantly, he's completely confident in his own abilities. Those qualities alone don't guarantee victory against Islam. But they do create questions that very few challengers have been able to ask. Even more interesting is that members of Team Khabib have reportedly acknowledged the challenge themselves. According to O'Malley, Garry's movement and ability to constantly reset his position could prevent Islam from securing the kind of effortless takedowns fans have become accustomed to seeing. He's not expected to stand still. He's expected to keep circling, keep creating angles, keep forcing Islam to work for every position. And in a fight where inches and seconds can decide everything, that matters. To O'Malley, this isn't simply another championship defense. It's a clash between two completely different fighting philosophies. Dagestan versus Ireland. Pressure versus movement. Control versus creativity. A matchup that deserves every bit of attention it's receiving. He also believes fans should appreciate moments like these while they still can. Champions don't stay at the top forever. And with Islam now in the later stages of his career, every appearance inside the octagon could carry even greater significance than the last. That reality isn't lost on Ian Garry. Despite his confidence, he's never pretended this will be an easy fight. If anything, he's been remarkably honest about the challenge waiting for him. He openly acknowledges Islam as one of the most complete mixed martial artists in the sport today. A champion who has dominated lightweight, moved up and captured another world title, built one of the longest winning streaks in UFC history, and established himself as one of the greatest fighters of his generation. Garry knows exactly who he's standing across from. He understands the wrestling, the pressure, the championship experience, the relentless pace that has broken so many elite opponents before him. Yet none of that has changed his mindset. He doesn't believe he's walking into an impossible fight. He believes he's walking into the opportunity of a lifetime. The kind of opportunity that can redefine an entire career in a single night. Of course, not everyone is convinced by everything Garry says. Some analysts argue that part of his confidence is carefully calculated. They believe many of his interviews are designed to generate headlines, build anticipation, and keep his name at the center of every conversation surrounding the event. Whether that's true or not, it's difficult to deny the result. Garry has successfully turned this championship fight into one of the most talked about matchups of the year. Which is exactly why Ian Garry's challenge feels so fascinating. If he can keep the fight standing, use his movement, and put together clean combinations, he may create problems that few opponents have managed to present. But if Islam succeeds in dragging the fight into his world, everything changes. Interestingly, while preparing for perhaps the biggest fight of his career, Islam has remained remarkably composed. Rather than focusing on predictions or bold promises, he's spoken about how much the world itself has changed. Growing up in a very different era, he believes today's generation has experienced a completely different childhood, one shaped by smartphones, social media, and constant digital connection. Despite those differences, he also believes technology has brought people closer than ever before, shrinking distances and making cultures feel more connected across the globe. It's a reminder of the calm mindset that has defined so much of his championship reign. While the spotlight grows brighter, Islam Makhachev continues preparing the same way he always has. Quietly, patiently, and with another massive challenge waiting just around the corner. Every interview, every training clip, every statement, keeps the spotlight fixed firmly on him. He's even questioned why other contenders were mentioned ahead of him, insisting that his resume earned this opportunity long before anyone else. From his perspective, the message is simple. If he's already defeated opponents that others consider worthy challengers, why should anyone be standing in front of him? Whether fans agree with that argument or not, it has added another layer to an already fascinating build-up. Tim Welch also believes people should appreciate what they're witnessing while they still have the chance. In his view, Islam Makhachev may not have many fights left before eventually stepping away from the sport. If that's true, every remaining title defense becomes more valuable than the last. Every victory adds another chapter. Every performance pushes his legacy a little further. And every challenge becomes another opportunity to strengthen an already extraordinary resume. That's why this fight feels larger than just one championship. It could be part of the final stretch of one of the greatest careers mixed martial arts has ever seen. Dan Hardy shares that excitement. He believes Ian Garry has spent years visualizing himself as a UFC champion. Long before this fight was announced, Garry carried himself like someone convinced that gold was inevitable. Now, that belief is finally being tested against the one man capable of exposing every weakness. Because according to Hardy, Islam Makhachev possesses answers for every style. Whether the fight stays standing, turns into a wrestling match, or becomes a battle on the ground, the champion has repeatedly shown he can take control no matter where the contest unfolds. That's what makes him such a difficult puzzle to solve. Hardy does acknowledge one important improvement in Garry's game. Over the past few years, the Irish contender has invested significant time developing his Brazilian jiu-jitsu, spending long periods training in Brazil to round out his ground game. That work could become invaluable on fight night. But Hardy also believes there's a limit to how much preparation is possible. Because preparing for Islam Makhachev isn't simply about learning wrestling techniques. It's about experiencing a level of pressure that very few athletes in the world can recreate. The relentless chain wrestling. The constant body control. The suffocating pace once the fight reaches the mat. According to Hardy, unless you've spent time inside the wrestling rooms of Dagestan alongside athletes raised in that system, it's almost impossible to truly understand what that pressure feels like. That's what separates Islam from almost everyone else. His wrestling isn't just technically elite. It's built on years of a culture where grappling is second nature. A system that has produced champion after champion. And every new fighter emerging from that environment seems to carry the same relentless mindset. Even outspoken personalities like Colby Covington, despite all the rivalry and personal opinions that often surround his comments, acknowledge one undeniable reality. Facing Islam Makhachev is unlike facing anyone else in mixed martial arts. His championship experience, his composure under pressure, his relentless wrestling, and his ability to control every phase of a fight make him one of the hardest champions in the sport to dethrone. If Ian Garry wants to leave the octagon with the belt around his waist, he won't just need confidence. He'll need the single greatest performance of his entire career. That uncertainty is exactly why this championship fight has captured the attention of the entire MMA world. The closer fight night gets, the more experts agree on one thing. Ian Machado Garry is no ordinary challenger. His height, reach, movement, and striking give him tools that few of Islam Makhachev's previous opponents have possessed. Some even believe the timing favors Garry, with questions beginning to surface about whether the champion still carries the same hunger after achieving almost everything in the sport. Former champion Michael Bisping expects Islam to keep applying his trademark pressure, but insists this is far from an easy title defense. In his view, Garry has the ability to make this one of the toughest fights of Islam's career. Merab Dvalishvili shares that belief. He sees Garry's movement, precision, and fight IQ creating real problems, but only if he can stop Islam from turning the fight into a grappling battle. That's where Team Makhachev remains completely confident. Head coach Javier Mendez has praised Garry as a dangerous and deserving challenger, especially on the feet, where one clean strike can change everything. But once the fight hits the mat, he believes the advantage belongs entirely to Islam. Sean Brady sees the matchup much the same way. As dangerous as Garry can be at range, if Islam establishes control on the ground, the champion's relentless pressure becomes incredibly difficult to survive. Still, Garry refuses to see the fight that way. He believes his speed, distance management, striking, and takedown defense present challenges Islam has never faced before. And even if the champion succeeds in taking him down, Garry insists he'll get back to his feet and prove he can compete in every area of the fight. That confidence has helped him earn this opportunity, and according to Ariel Helwani, his recent performances have done enough to justify a shot at UFC gold. Even MMA Guru, after breaking down the matchup, admitted Garry had made him rethink parts of his prediction. But after weighing every factor, experience, championship composure, fight IQ, and Islam's unmatched wrestling, he still gives the edge to the champion. And that perfectly sums up this fight. One side believes Ian Garry has the style to shock the world. The other believes Islam Makhachev will once again prove why he's one of the most dominant champions of this generation. Soon, the predictions will end. The cage door will close. And the only thing left that matters is who walks out with the belt.